Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So I thought he brought water. Okay. So we'll do a case study today. Okay. I didn't want to start that way. I don't want to repeat. Actually, you guys have an advantage over the other section, at least in about my class, because you have access to the recording on the YouTube. Do you have access to my recordings also, or you have access to recording only one? You have class B recording access, or you have only one recording? Both access. Okay, then good. Because I thought I went to the YouTube and they say they only upload A section. You are B, right? Yeah. So I thought you get the benefit because I was not very keen to start off with the case study, but anyway, we'll do that and then we'll do something. So what's a case study? Any idea what's a case study? Why don't you sit here? Then you'll see me straining his neck to do that. So how many of you here? I can see 4 plus 4, 8, 8 plus 12. And how many here? How many of you here? That's a huge crowd of another 20, 24. So we really have to make this session interactive. Okay, and how do you do it is left to you. Okay, the best way to begin by being interactive is not by folding your hands. Okay, because that's what do they say about folding hands? Any idea? You sitting in the first bench. How dare you do that? Okay. Right, but I guess you guys now know my sense of humor, right? So I'm sure that Paul of me will not take seriously or get upset over it. So what's a case study? What's a case study? It's a real life situation. What do you do with it? Understanding the real life situation. Okay, and then arrive at what? Conclusion or solution? She's saying solution. You think it'll break? No. Okay. Huh? Yeah. So, or you can say I'm thin. No, that's another way to look at it. So, what do you do with the case study? You come to a conclusion, or you come to what was that you said? A solution. Prepare for future by looking at the past. People who don't read history. How do you complete the sentence? Yes. Whatever you said, that was correct. You didn't say anything. Okay. People who don't read history end up repeating it. Meaning that if you don't learn from what happened, and how many of you know the crisis in Sri Lanka? How many of you know what's the crisis? Yeah, whoever raised the hands will explain the crisis. And somebody online, Ranjita, Rajesh, Riaz, you also will explain what's the crisis in Sri Lanka. Yeah. Ask them first. Okay. Crisis. Okay. Guys online, what's the crisis in Sri Lanka? No. Okay, they don't know. So now you have no choice. Okay. Financial crisis, but why? Because of the government's wrong strategy. What was the wrong strategy? More imports than exports is the tragedy. Anybody else? They took loans from China and they ended up in they couldn't repay. Okay. There is no revenue generation. Are we talking about Sri Lanka or generally saying? Sure, it's Sri Lanka. Okay. Whenever we are looking at an infrastructure, we must look at it. There must be a profit from that. Okay. Mainly Sri Lanka is a consuming country. Hmm. Okay, okay, okay. How many of you been to Sri Lanka? Okay, via the Jaffna route or the regular route? Colombo route. Okay, you know who goes via Jaffna, right? Okay. So what is Sri Lanka famous for? Sri Lanka is famous for tea. We'll talk about. I think it's important for you to know what's happening in the Sri Lankan story, and then we'll move into another one. I don't have a pen to write. Okay. So what is the yeah? So they're famous for tea, cardamom, pepper. What else? Tourism. Okay. Yeah, and there's an island nation, and you know what is the shape of the island nation? Yeah. Huh? The shape of the island nation. It's not coconut shape. They say that it's supposed to be like a tear, eye drop tear. So they say that poor guys are always crying. So unfortunately. So what is the again? I think you guys have not got what is and why, and that's why I said case study is important. And we'll talk about the case study of Sri Lanka for 5 minutes, and then we'll decide what is what went wrong with Sri Lanka and what we should have learned. So what happened was in Sri Lanka is predominantly a tourism country. Okay, we got lovely places to go, and Sri Lanka is predominantly tourism, and predominantly what's the second best thing you said about Sri Lanka is it's a tea. So it's a tea producing country, and so who drinks tea? Uh, I think most of the world drink tea, and then so they have a reasonably healthy life because there's good amount of tourism. A lot of people go and travel to Sri Lanka for a couple of days of holiday. Also, most of the world loves to have Ceylon tea and things like that. So, and then the pandemic hit. When the pandemic hit, obviously the tourism dropped. So one primary income for Sri Lanka just collapsed. And so that's one big trouble. The war between Russia and Ukraine is a more recent phenomenon. Yeah. Yeah. So they also didn't come up. Pandemic didn't make tourism happen and all that. And then they said we'll do something very funny. What they said was, how many of you are fitness freaks? I'm sure everybody wants to raise their hand, right? We are all fitness freak. What is fitness freak? Meaning that eat healthy food, eat organic food, and not food which has got a lot of pesticides and all that. So Sri Lanka said, oh, let's also become an organic tea producing country. So let's start producing organic tea. Let's start producing organic rice. Let's start producing organic food. And that way, we'll be the most sought after. So people want to say, wow, man, I honestly ask me, I love to have organic tea. So who wouldn't want to have organic tea? So I would do that. So they said, let's do that. So overnight, Sri Lanka made a decision that we're not going to use pesticides. So next day morning, the farmer gets up and says, when you do storytelling, you tend to exaggerate the situation. It was not that the next day morning he woke up, but then over a very short period of time, the government said, sorry, no pesticides to be used because we're going to start producing organic tea. Now, organic farming is very complex. It's because you don't use pesticides. So when you don't use pesticides, what happens? The pests will come up. And so you have to manage them and you have to use more natural resources, more water and all that. And Sri Lanka, first of all, was dying under the tourism issues, and there were not much of money coming in. And overnight, you stop using pesticides, the Sri Lankan farming collapsed. And it's very expensive. So now what happened was they were at one time surplus rice producers. And because of this, what was an overnight idea of the president that we will use organic farming, uh, they They virtually couldn't even produce enough rice for their own consumption. And of course, everybody loves tea. I love to have organic tea. And I don't know how much is a quarter kilo of tea powder. Let's say a quarter kilo of tea powder costs you about $200. Organic tea costs you about 600, $700. So I'm not going to have organic tea every day, right? It's an occasional thing, and it's again for the rich. It's the niche market. We will remember the terminology that I said, niche market. Anybody know what is a niche market? Something very different. So what is a niche market? Example of a niche market? Example of a niche market I can think of without sounding anything is make OTT platform or Netflix is kind of a niche market. It's not a market for everybody. But that doesn't mean that who is this guy? Some major film producing company, or name any in Karan Johar Productions or Dharma Productions. So Dharma Productions cannot say that I will only release it on Netflix. No, he can't make money out of it. He has to also release it on the big screen. So niche market has to remain a niche market. So you cannot make that market a generalized market. So you see the problem that Sri Lanka went through. They went through a process wherein the government took wrong decisions. They wanted to go completely organic, and that resulted in lessons for them. Second thing they said is, when they are doing all that, we will get rid of taxes. They said we will stop income tax so that people will have more money to spend or things like that. And that also did not. So a series of bad actions resulted in the country going into a big disaster. So now, next time, any country is going to be very careful when we are going to switch over to organic farming, or to switch over to a, there was a period of time we said, why do you have to tax people? Give them no taxation for people in India, and then increase the consumption tax. But it's not going to work like that, right? So now what is a case study? A case study is something which looks at an event in greatest detail, and then you use that learning to make sure I don't make the same mistakes tomorrow. Okay. So what we are going to do in the next 30 minutes is do one case study, see how it looks like, and then move over to, we look at the Tata group of companies. Obviously what Tata does. Tata does all kinds of things, mass products like salt and tea. So what do they say? From salt to software is what Tata says they are, right? They are across the entire branch of things. So they make mass market things like salt and tea, and they are also into watches and hotels, and they are into very niche markets. We just discovered the word niche. They are into Starbucks, Titan, Tanishq, Skin. So what is this? Steady market. What is a steady market? A steady market is salt and tea, right? Overnight, people just don't go, and just because we discuss case study of Sri Lanka, we're not going to go, the world is not going to go and buy tea. It's going to be a steady market. Things don't really change, pandemic or no pandemic, RCB events or not. It's not going to affect your the consumption of tea and salt. So that's a very steady market. Nothing is going on. Then there are what are called uncertain markets. What are uncertain markets? Certain markets, like they enter into a new sector, you don't know how that market is going to behave. Is it really going to do well? Is it going to go up? And we will talk about it later on. Or will it just collapse and die? And there are seasonal markets. What are seasonal markets? Like, for example, seasonal markets of are during the holidays, hotels get booked. During the holidays, Wonderla and places like them are very busy. Swimming pools are very busy in summer. So you have seasonal behavior of certain products. So these are very many types of products that we look at. What we are going to discuss, however, is one particular thing. We talked about red ocean and things like that, right? Yes, no? Yes, yes. So we'll talk about Tanishq. Tanishq is a wonderful product. How many of you have Tanishq products on you? No, no, you're not a Tanishq fan. You're more like, huh? You're not wearing now. You got kilos of them are left at home. Yeah, okay. Wish, right? I know. So we'll talk about Tanishq. We'll look at their case study. It's something that we can quickly follow up. I'll ignore this slide. So look at Tanishq. Tanishq comes from Titan, and Titan comes from Tata. So it's a very established brand name. Tata has been a wonderful company, and they're one of the finest companies to work with, and also a finest companies to do business with. And what's the newest release of Tata? Punch. And there's another app that they've been talking about. Tata?
New.
Good. So you guys have been following. New. Very good. So you've been following. So Titan was a part of the Tata group, and Titan watches are doing very well. Titan watches was very, and okay, remember this story begins in 1995. I guess some of you were just born, or some of you are not even born. So we'll look at it. So Titan and Tata said, we've been leaders in watch companies. Why not, if people are wearing a watch on their wrist, why will they not wear a pair of golden bangles on their wrist? We at least we have the pulse of the people with our watches. So why not we get into the gold business? So they started off with Tanishq in 1995. 3 years later, they were a disaster. They just didn't know what to do. They were in such a bad position that probably my next slide explains it, that Tanishq and Titan almost decided that let's quit this business. We'll not get into this business. So what they did was, before we quit, why don't we understand what went wrong? And maybe the next generation of executive MBA students will learn from what went wrong, and let's do a marketing research. So they did what's called a market research. What did the market research say? So, but before we get to the market research, we must understand what was the story in 1995. In 1995, Indian jewelry industry was totally unorganized. Unorganized meaning that there was nothing really in the corporate sector. Jewelers people were mostly buying it from their family jeweler. We all had a family jeweler. Maybe my mom and dad got married, and they went to that same jeweler, and they were happily took my sister along when they wanted to buy gold for her. So so there was this family jeweler, and they were kind of attached to it. And it's an age-old story, and I'm sure all of you will have the same story. That's why, if you can notice, after a long effort, there is called the PC Sen Jewelers, right? They didn't come to Bangalore in 2000. They didn't come to Bangalore in 2010. They came to Bangalore in 2020, when there was a sizable Bengali population in Bangalore, and hence they felt that we can attach to them and go. And that's obvious, right? I mean, you really want to have your bearings associated with it. So but this is a situation long back when there was nothing corporatized, and there were small family jewelers. We even had a community called the Goldsmith, right? I mean, they were there, they were happily working out there. And I don't know how many of you have seen this movie or the real life, is that when the Goldsmith closes his shop and goes, all these guys go and look at the dust there, because hoping to find even a dust of gold is a lot of money. So that is how it went. So industry was very organized, and purchasing of jewelry was a family event. Nobody just walked there and buy gold, right? You look at the time, you consult the astrologer, what is the best time to go, and then you go and buy it. And buying gold was a family affair, and tradition plays a very important role. Dare not go in your jeans to buy gold. You need to wear your traditional. I'm not exaggerating, right? That's the fact of life. So, and then people borrow to buy gold for their daughter's wedding. And we recently had my servant maid's daughter get married, and she wants to buy gold. I said, you know what? I mean, you do, and you're telling the wrong set of people. They said, no, 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 don't spend money. They'll think that they are afraid that she'll wants me to pay for it. So it's badly mistaken. So people borrow to buy gold, and so that is what was the story. Now, Titan, when it walked in, it said that I am a corporate company. People love our Titan watches, and people love Titan watches because they come from Tata, and we have a great brand. We have a great image, and no doubt about it, right? I mean, Tata carries a brilliant brand and image. And why not we go into gold jewelry and make it a fun event? Buying gold should be a fun event, not a like a big painful exercise. And all over the world, it's 18 karat, which is very commonly used. During my initial travel abroad, my wife would say, "Come back, but don't come back with gold, especially European gold or American gold, because that's not real gold." So if it's 18 karat, we'd never believed it used to be gold. But Titan said, let's go 18 karat. That's how the world looks at it. And then losses piled up. Titan didn't know what to do. And then they said, we almost thought that we will give up. And today they are the jewelers to the nation. So they did a market research. When they did a market research, they did some very initial observation. Did I miss a slide? Okay, yeah, I didn't miss a slide. So they did a initial observation. What was the initial observation? That Western jewel design, nobody was interested. And remember, this is 1995, 96, 97, 98, 2-3 years after that. At that time, not many women were working. IT sector had not opened. 2000, 2000 or 2001 was when we helped set up a satellite link from a call center, from a medical transcription company in STPI Mysore, being connected to their parent organization in the US. So it's very early stages, very little amount of IT or IT development or software development. Women, the percentage of women in jobs were very small. So Western design, no way, nobody wants to buy Western design. 18 karat gold is not serious. Nobody likes Titan as a brand. Nobody likes Tata, who is good in trucks. What can people who do trucks do about gold? And their positioning was wrong. Their branding was wrong. So what is positioning? What is branding? We will learn about it later in the class. So that is one thing. The second thing that they did was, when you put up an ad or when you put up some kind of an advertisement, you're targeting somebody, right? In this case, they didn't know whom to target, because who is buying gold? The daughter is buying gold. Mother is going along with her. Grandmother is going along with her. So whom are you positioning the product for? That was a big problem. Who are you positioning? Is it for the grandmother? Is it for the mother? Or is it for the daughter? Or is it for the independent girl who has just started working? And the independent girl will never listen to her grandmother. To dur ki baat hai. Right? They all are laughing. They know what they So you see the positioning is the positioning is very, very difficult. So how do you get all this in place? That is what the concept of a case study was. Easiest thing to do, the easiest thing to do was to move from 18 karat to 22 karat. That is what changing the P. Which P are we talking about? The product. Just very simple, right? Change the product, because one of your market research said all the 4 P's are in bad shape. Nobody customer has no faith in your 18 karat. Okay, no problem. We'll right away change from 18 karat to 22 karat. One done. And not only that, we will throw away all our Western designs and we'll come up with traditional, nice designs. You like this pattern? No, you don't like it? Okay. So then what? After this, what do you do? After you do product modification, what is the next thing would you do? We'll look at that. The next thing that we have to do is they realized that outside of the product, the following were the key problems that they had. The problem was the consumer trusted the family jeweler without blind trust, no proof, just faith, complete faith that whatever my family jeweler gives me is the best, is at the best price, is the best quality. And the second is the pricing mechanism has no logic. What is the pricing mechanism? How does he price the product? One of the things that I even now get very irritated is when I go to buy a pair of glasses. There's just no way for me to know. There's just no concept of MRP. I don't know. I look at it and he says 7,000 rupees. It could be not even worth 700. But I don't even have a base of reference. I go to another shop. I obviously don't get this design. And then, so you see the problem is that these, I really get irritated when I go to buy a pair of glasses. And I'm sure those of you who are wearing glasses will experience the same thing. First of all, you go to the place where your doctor gives you the prescription. Attached to him is one shop. And you're kind of obligated to buy from him because the doctor is also looking at you, whether you're going away or... So there you go. And then I go to the office and my colleague looks at it and says, "Ye to local hai." Oh, what rubbish, yaar. I mean, you can't do this to me. And now, so if I pay 7,000 and they say same thing, I get it for. So anyway, that's too much of a discussion. So pricing has no logic. And just like my colleague always undermines the price of my pair of glasses, no other jeweler will trust any other jeweler's thing. Oh, this you didn't buy from me, worse than copper. So that's the mechanism. That's the problem that they were. And impossible to do exchange. Gold exchange, you lose a lot of money because of wastage and all that thing. And most importantly, these guys, these family jewelers were very isolated and addressed a very captive base. Okay. Now I'm making this case study interesting. I'm making this case study interactive so that I get the message. But remember, it's a very serious discussion. So what happens is that these family jewelers were not expanding. They were always in the same place. And the 3 kilometer, 4 kilometer radius were the ones who were going there. So if there was a jeweler in Kundapur, all the people in Kundapur went there, but there was a jeweler in Kozhikode, they would only go to him. The people in Ernakulam would not go to him, or things like that. So very, very, very captive base. And poor documentation. There's no documentation at all. There's no documentation at all. So this is what they came up with. Now I'm going to make it more attractive. And so if you are given this data, the market research came up and said, here, sir, are the datas. Faith without proof, pricing mechanism without logic. The jeweler doesn't trust another jeweler. There is no method of gold exchange. These guys are very far located from each other. board documentation, what would you do in 1998 or 99 to solve the problem? Very simple. You do this, the case study is done. So what you start doing now is that Titan will start making documentation. So is it here will give you
Not audible.
Hello, hello, hello.
okay? If you were submitted the case study, how will it take it forward in 1988? Okay, we can hear now. Okay, thanks, sir. Okay. Yeah, what is that? If we submitted the case study, how will it take forward to? I don't understand. Can you repeat what you said, Srijit? I don't know if you can see what I'm typing. Okay, you can't see it anyway. Fine, no problem. Let's start off. So this said, so we said that I put the question back to you guys online and most of you answered. So let's come back to this. If Titan knows these are the answers or these are the problems or these are the situational reality that they have, I'm asking one of you at least to answer what is the next best thing that you would do with this information. There's quite a few of you gave answers. But let's say anybody online can now answer, unmute themselves and answer. No? Or you think it's
Sir, they can increase their number of branches because
can increase the number of branches. Very good. Very good indeed. Yeah, what else? How do you, okay, all that is fine. How do you get rid of the first problem? Faith without proof.
Some standards like
Hallmark
they
stamp.
have
Okay.
hallmarks.
Okay. But in 1998, there was no hallmark. At the most, there was something else, but there was no hallmark. There was no concept like hallmark then.
Revealing the
Yeah, good. Okay, we are
my
good to
future.
get you guys to respond. Now listen to me, we'll move forward. Okay, so the first thing is faith without proof. Now what they noticed, and I think rather not have a video here for some time. Okay, they noticed that the customer trusted their family jeweler and never doubted the purity. Now, how do you convince somebody like that? You know, this blind belief concept, blind, and it's very difficult to wake up the person who is awake, right? You know, right? It's very easy. If she's sleeping, I can, hey, you wake up. But if she's no, and not just as an excuse, not you. Actually, I meant that person there. Okay, so what they did is they said that one of the way to test gold was to actually rub it and then look at the purity, but that's actually loss of gold. So one way they said is they'll introduce what is called a carat meter. A carat meter is a box in which you drop your gold and then there's some UV rays and all that and comes up with the proof. So Titan said, okay, guys, don't do anything. Don't walk into my showroom to buy my gold, but walk into my showroom to test the gold that you bought from your favorite family jeweler. Drop it in the box, no charge. Wait for 2 minutes and it'll give you a report. And what was the report? The report said that over 60% of the gold that they bought from their family jeweler was definitely not 22 carat, was not even 18 carat. So that was the reality that stuck them. That the one that I trusted for so many years, and I really don't like to repeat jokes that I repeated in the previous class, but I think this is one joke that's coming back to me and hitting me. So they said that, okay, so we'll not buy that. The joke I was telling in the previous class was my mom is now 92, and about 10 or 11, 12 years back, her sister called her and said, hey, we have a problem. Or rather, she said, I have a problem. So what is the problem? Is that they're sisters. So when they got married, their father, and I'm talking about 92, I'm sure they would have very early marriages. They got married when they were 12, 13, 14 or something. So that'll make it almost 80 years back. So they had given them some gold bangles. So my mother's sister gave that bangle to her daughter. Her daughter gave it to her daughter, which is her granddaughter. And now it's the great granddaughter's marriage. And so they're about to give it. And the great granddaughter put it in the carat meter. Put it in the carat meter, and it's saying, please put your gold bangle. It kept on repeating it. So So there you see, that was a big crisis. And she's calling my mother and telling, now what do we do with this? So my mother said, forget it. I don't know. This is something that you have to live with. So that was the kind of a crisis. So now what happened was customers started losing faith in that jeweler. And now they knew that there was some kind of a format in which I could do it. And obviously, when they came to check it, they started looking at new design and footprint started growing up and people started buying more gold from Tanishq, right? Then what happened? Then they said the pricing mechanism without logic. And all of you, I mean, take a bow. All of you have given some very nice answers. Good, very smart students, I must say. So they said that let's come up with the second logic. Is that earlier what they used to say, Mumbai gold is jewel, Dubai gold is less, or you buy gold from Kochi, whatever, you know, it is always there. Or what are blood diamonds? Or have you heard the term blood diamonds? Blood.
Yeah, so they make people mine in Africa and they don't pay them proper money. They treat them like slaves.
Perfect. Did you hear what he said? He said blood diamond. Could you say it a little bit louder? More than before you say, introduce yourself and say that.
Yes, sir. Prashant here. So what I was trying to tell was blood diamond is something where the mining fields, they most probably in Africa, they don't treat them well. And they make them, I mean, they don't pay them, they treat them like slaves. And that is why it is called blood diamond.
Okay, so they're saying that they don't treat them well. They, you know, it like okay, we'll this is how my class is anyway. So the thing is, so now it's also about war. It's also about war between two countries, and the money is being used for a thing. And perfect, Prashant, very good answer. Is that diamond which is at the cost of somebody else's blood, and blood diamond. So obviously, blood diamond is going to be cheaper, right? I mean, it's really not going to be expensive. So, but that's not the one. So there was a lot of confusion that was prevailing out there. There was a lot of confusion prevailing out there. So Titan says, perfect opportunity for us to win over the customer. They said that we will give one uniform pricing all over India. Doesn't matter where you buy the gold from, it's going to be one price. You don't have to get confused. And what is that one price? What is that one price? That one price is also not an arbitrary price. That price would be linked to the London Metal Exchange. So when the London Metal Exchange says this is a price of gold, there is a perfect formula which you can use and we also use, and this is what the price of gold is. So there you see, they were able to get rid of the faith issue. They were able to get over the pricing issue. And they started building confidence with the customer. The third thing that happened was refund and guarantees. Now you know where the story is heading. Not much too complicated henceforth. He said, now let's do one thing. We trust you. We trust you. And so we will rather allow you to do a refund. And many a time, you know, they don't allow gold refund is a bit of an issue because you might come up with earlier history was same thing. So what I'm saying is trust and loyalty are two sides of the same coin. As much as you would trust Amazon to deliver you a great product, Amazon must also have the trust in their customers, saying that when they say, I don't like it, it's truly that they don't like it and they want to return it. The other day, we have the security guy in my building, and every 2 weeks, the guy's got a new headphone and things like that. I said, I can't afford to buy one every 1 year. And this guy is flaunting new ones every fortnight. I said, hey, what the hell is happening? How are you getting all this money from? Sir, simple, sir. 10 din lo refund, replace, return kar do. I said, stop it right now because you are using my PIN code for that. Okay, and you know pin code, right? I mean, people, especially certain pin codes in Bangalore, you don't even get a credit card. And so now I get branded up. My building gets branded up saying that these guys are just using it. Yeah, so trust is two-way. And now, of course, you do it? Uh, yeah, so you use it. Oh, I thought you were, uh, I thought, I mean, this is really guts if you, yeah, so what do you do? Good, now tell me. Yeah, yeah, payment and fraud maintenance, yeah. Everybody will get affected. Yes, very true. Yeah. That takes care of it. Okay. That then there's another story that I want to talk to you about is uh, you know what is an abandoned cart? Abandoned cart. What is a cart? Flipkart ka cart kya hota hai? Select the groceries and then you abandon it. Yeah, and then you abandon it. What do you mean by abandoning it? You're not buying it, right? It's easier to describe it on an offline situation where you go all over the place, pick up stuff, and then you look at the big long queue. And I'm not buying it. Okay, but there's no long queue in online. But I know you are abandoning carts. You will go there, you go to Mintra and select 3, 4 of them, and then you say, you think I should really buy it? Cheat your conscience. I had just told myself nothing till 15th of April, but now I'm buying it anyway. So you abandon the cart. So what happens that this is a real story, not an Amazon, it's another company. So they notice that somebody like you, or what's your name? Huh? Pooja. So somebody like Pooja was abandoning her cart. Nice, wonderful 4 dresses that she picked up. They were excited. They were watching her move all along. When it came to the payment gateway, band, abandoned cart. So how do you solve this problem? The best way to solve the problem is to send Pooja an email. Hey, Pooja, I noticed that last time you walked into a thing, you didn't pick them up. Because of price, we are giving you a 20% discount. So now 20% discount, Pooja is going to rush and buy them up. But what else are you going to do, Pooja, after that? You will tell your friends, no? Of course, you will tell your friends. So what is Paulami going to do? She'll go buy 10 of them and abandon them. So you see what was happening. The situation was that what turned out to be a nice way of converting a customer who was abandoning his cart and being nice to him, they were actually being nice to Pooja. Now Pooja does something, she tells everybody else, and now you want to buy, you're abandoning it. I'm now looking at your email. Email kab aayega, email kab aayega. So that was a crisis in which sometimes how do you manage a customer is very, very important. And so even giving out discounts, and we'll talk about customer behavior right after that. So that is what happened. So back to the Titan story, we'll move quickly through the Titan story. So they able to win the refund. You also said that we'll open more branches, but an answer I would have liked is that we will open, what they did was that they decided to open branches, many branches in one city. Instead of opening one branch in East City, they said that we'll open, they initially did what is called carpet bombing. They went full-fledged in Bangalore. They opened up multiple outlets and they were able to get rid of the local family jeweler. So one by one, they were able to handle each one of these problems. So now everything done, over. You've got rid of the goldsmiths. They are unemployed now. Pricing mechanism is taken care. Everything is done. Perfect documentation done. Now back to you guys. How do you increase revenue? A point? Okay. Now, Pooja, you will modify that answer and give me a more professional answer. Think about it. Yeah, so give out a nice answer. Fair enough, but give me a longer answer. So what you will do is you will, yeah, okay, that is okay. No, but I want Pooja to bring in Pooja Bhatt herself and do that. So what you would do is you will get, who you said you will bring in? But why not Hema Malini? I love Hema Malini. No, why not him? So now give me a one line answer to the next thing that you would do in which it will include the word new generation. Start. Anybody else wants to take a shot at the answer that she's going to give?
Sir, they will start
Yeah.
along with gold, the related products also start to sell in same shop, like diamond and other kind of stuff.
What can you? We couldn't hear you very well, Sudish. I think. Can you repeat?
Suresh. Yes,
Would
sir.
you repeat?
What I'm telling, to increase the revenue, what they will do, they will now they may be concentrating gold. They will start the other products like a diamond and silver, this kind of product.
That's a good answer. They started diversifying into other associated gold like jewelry, silver, and all that. I'm waiting for you. Okay, what I would have wanted you to answer is that continue to focus on the youth and bring up a youth brand as a promotion of the products. That's the word that I wanted. I mean, the answer that you're going to give me, I will actually tolerate you for another one term, but second term onwards, you have to give answers which are more like a managerial answer. You get? Not angry? Okay, good. So that's the one. What else would you do for revenue? What else would you do? Remember, the first thing that Titan wanted to do was what? Remember, what did they want to do? They wanted to make buying gold making buy gold of what kind of an event? Fun event. And hold on, before I tell you anything further, this whole story did not happen in 6 months. 95, they launched it. 98, they realized they are in big trouble. 98, they did the market research. 99, they implemented market research. 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, they were able to virtually kill competition and become a big brand. Between 95 and 2003, what has happened? What's happened to the women? Women are becoming more employable. IT sector has opened up. Lots of people are traveling. Money in the men's and women's pocket has gone up. So what is it that they will do next to increase purchase, increase revenue? More answers.
Give
No?
credit.
They'll be goals. So what do you do? What do you do? Encourage. She said, I'll bring in Alia Bhatt and she'll really become, that'll encourage people to buy. What else would you do?
Branding.
Branding, okay.
So Prashant here, I think they can start a lot of other brands. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah,
Sub-brands.
Prashant, go ahead. Tell me.
Yeah, they will start a lot of sub brands, focus more on each age group, youth, kids. Everything.
Perfect. So now you start focusing. Started off with 18 carats. Best time to bring in 18 carats gold once again into the market. because you are now a knowledgeable person. Between 95 and 2003, many of you have traveled worldwide. Have seen foreign designs, and now you begin to like them. So what they did is reduce the entry barrier. Earlier, if I had to buy gold, I had to take at least ₹1,00,000. Now I can buy an 18 karat, just like today. Well done, Puja is good enough for her to go and buy gold. So that's it. So you see, they reduced the entry barrier. They started giving corporate gift schemes. They started entering smaller towns. They started giving EMI schemes. So all of this started working it out. Okay. I hope you guys are following me. That's it. This is the case study that I want to talk to you about today. Titan and Tanishq is a very established brand name, but today it's a different problem. There are hundreds of other established players in the market. The market is very crowded. The market is very, very crowded. There are at least, I'm sure there is a street near my house, which virtually has every gold jeweler. If anybody is from Jayanagar, you know the street I'm talking about. It's the 32nd cross or something like that. There's all jewelers. So on Sunday, if I have a class on Saturday afternoon, I don't take that road because it's full of people buying gold. So I take an alternate. So it's buying gold is now become a everyday practice. So this is about the case study. But now let me move back to any discussions on the case study. Anything that you want to talk about? Or Ravi, what is the time? How much time did we spend? So almost an hour. Oh my God, we're very much behind time. Class 3 STP. No, not this. Slides. Just give me a minute. I'm looking for my slide for discussion. Yes. Okay. I'd rather take that slide itself. I'm in 2 minds which slide to do. Go back to customer behavior. Okay. We'll do another half an hour before we take a break. And I'm telling you, we are running behind schedule. Where's my screen share? Share. Okay. We're talking about market research and consumer behavior. We'll talk about market research and consumer behavior in a very small amount of time. This is just to make you understand this topic. We'll get into a more serious discussion on the other two topics. So tell me what is market research, or tell me what is consumer behavior. We'll probably start with consumer behavior. What do you think is consumer behavior? What consumer does is consumer behavior. Yeah, but typical examples of how a consumer behaves. Like, what is that? Yeah. Can you give me examples of how a consumer will behave under different circumstances? Yeah, so a consumer expects certain amount of quality for the price that he behaves. And so the consumer behave very differently. That's one more example. Start thinking a little more differently. Consumer, hang on. He just said consumer will compare you against whom? Consumer compares you all the time with the competitor. Okay. Expect a best service. You hesitated from using the word best price. No, are you saying that expect best price also? Okay, so that's why I said you did not use the word price, because consumer knows that quality comes at a price. Quality is always with a capital.
Yeah, if sir, I'm Riaz here, and then if I sell it after 3 years, 5 years, and then 10 years, what is my returns? Resale value of that specific product. That one also the consumer will think.
Okay,
of
so how much is the value of the product that I buy, and how do I value it from years? I'm sure you don't want to buy. I can't think of a product. I'm sure you don't want to buy any Ford product today because it will not give you a return. But you don't mind buying a Toyota because you're sure that the Toyota return will always be at least 40% of your kind of a purchase. Okay. So what else does a consumer behave? Well, who influences the consumer? Who influences the consumer? Users influence consumers. Okay, what else?
Brand ambassadors.
Brand ambassadors like Alia Bhatt will influence consumers. Okay, very good. Whoever said that, smart. And please tell your name so that I can reply back to you with your name. Okay.
Sure, sir. That was Sandhya, sir.
Sandhya. Okay, good. Yeah. Consumers influence each other.
Offers and discounts.
Yeah. So normal women influence normal women.
Advertisement,
Okay,
sir.
Pardon?
Advertisements.
Advertisements influence thing. Consumer reviews will influence it. Okay, what else? Do all consumers behave similarly?
No, sir.
So give me how two consumers behave differently. I'll give you an example. There is Mr. A who's got an annual income of 2 lakhs. And there's Mr. B who's got an annual income of 20 lakhs. So how does Mr. A behave to a product, and how does Mr. B behave to a product? Consumer behavior. No, they all behave similarly. So then answer. Depends upon. So you use the, I'm always looking at keywords. I also give you a hint. I'm also giving you a hint on how I evaluate case studies. I'm always looking at the hint word. You just use the hint word dangerously, Pooja. You use the hint word want. So now, yeah, now she's understanding. Now I want you both to give me an answer. How does a 2 lakh consumer behave versus a 20 lakh consumer? And both of them want to buy a phone. I'm also making your life easy. Both of them want to buy a phone. So which phone will Mr. 2 lakh buy, and which phone will Mr. 20 lakh buy?
Apple for 2 lakh.
So
MI for 20 lakhs.
B for demand. Wish, demand. Okay. Yeah, we've taught you everything. Yeah, there was this previous term or the term before that. So somebody said, sir, tips for writing the exam. Some you want, no? All of you want? No. If you have understood me, don't ask now. Okay. So I said, 18 hours I have been giving you only the tips. So 18 hours of my tech. Yeah. So now consumer reaction, I'm sticking on to one slide and you have not even begun the slide. And I'm having a conversation with you. And then the rest of the slides are unimportant for me. I'll only live for you guys to read about it. Right. So a consumer depends on what is his want. And what is his buying capability? What is it that he's interested in buying? And what will he, just because somebody is standing in a queue, it doesn't mean I'm going to stand in a queue. You've seen that typical example, right? And I don't know how many of you recall. The three guys are staring up in the sky. The fourth guy comes and stares. The first guy goes away. So the remaining guys are all wondering what's in the sky, but like that, nobody stands in the queue for that. So what else is consumer behavior? I think you guys covered most of the points, except maybe one more. Anything else is consumer behavior. So consumer behavior is how a consumer reacts to a particular product, depending on his need, want, and can be influenced by his lifestyle, by his background, by previous experience. I will never buy, I don't know, I'll never buy LG products. Why? Because I had a bad experience on LG products. And if I use this word, listen to me carefully, I'll never buy LG products because I had a bad experience in LG products, is what the assignment 2 is all about. Okay, there are 7 people in an organization. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 people have to join together to buy a new product. It's a company. It's a company. So your job is to sell them the product. But one of them in that company had used your product and was unhappy in the previous job, and she lost her promotion because of that. Now she's come into this company. So how are you going to manage that crisis? That's a typical B2B business. We'll talk by end of today's class is the end of B2C. We'll talk about B2. Okay. So enough. I'll come back to the thing. What is market research? What is market? Very complicated word or easy word? We just did a market research in Tanish's case study. Okay, so needs and wants of the, okay, what else? How does the market react to my product? And how do you do market research? How do you market? Go to the competitors thing and pull out. Connecting some opinion. Yeah, but how do you go and find out what people want? By looking at customer behavior, you do market research. And what is customer behavior? Customer behavior. Okay, fair enough. So okay, but yeah, somebody was saying something online.
We'll do surveys.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, do your survey. Yeah, so there you have analysis. Yeah, but we'll just skip this slide just for you to look at it. So consumer behavior is understanding what the consumer is. I don't have to tell you this. Why is consumer behavior important? Because once you know how a particular consumer behaves, then you can mold your goods according to how the consumer is going to react to it. And consumer behavior is very important because he holds the key to an engaging relationship. These are definitions and notes for you to read about. I'll not get there. So consumer behavior is, what is the consumer thinking? What influences the consumer to buy? That's the only 2 things, that what is the consumer thinking and how can I influence him to buy? That's the only thing. The one way is we actually have another product there, and the right time for me to switch slides. I assume this is the slide. Let's see. Oh, no. I have a corresponding slide that I wanted to share you guys with. Okay, I actually wanted to do a kind of a conversation with you all, but then No, this slide is different from. Bear with me, huh? Bear with me a minute. I okay. What does this ad do? What is this ad? What does this ad do? Yo, but what happens to you people when you see this ad?
Influence.
So he's saying which will not happen, unfortunately. In no, he never used the word unfortunately. I use the word. Okay. So what does this ad do? This ad creates a perception of what the product is capable of doing to you. And though you know for sure that this product is not going to do that. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Now I'm really going to switch slides to another one. I'll come back to consumer research later on, but let's switch topics here. I'll come back to consumer research and market behavior later on, but look at this. I have two products here. One is Elite Matrimony and one is Canada Matrimony. Who is this product for? Is for the unmarried. Okay. No, she said. Okay, hang on. Brilliant, brilliant. Very good. So it's, but divorced is still not married, no. Not, he never said first time man. He's not talking about, so you're right. Okay. So who is this product for? So anybody who wants to get? Okay, both happy now. Okay. Okay. So, but what is the difference between Elite Matrimony and Canada Matrimony? Emotionally क्या होता है इसमें? So, take back emotion. Unless you have some story to tell me. No. Okay. Okay. So this is, but who is this for? Elite is for?
Elite is for niche.
Hey, you know what? You guys should raise your voice and speak, and then I can get you involved. So go ahead. What Elite is for?
Rich
For the
people,
more, for the richer.
high status.
But the Kannada people can also be rich, right?
Filtering will be easy.
Hang on. Now there's confusion between you. Yeah, go ahead. Online.
Sir,
Filtering is
elite is
possible.
elating small. See who the late who searched many more days years, they are not getting marriage. That kind of people will prefer elite.
Okay. So Elite. Okay, let me tell you what is Elite matrimony. Elite matrimony is for those whose family are very, very rich, who come from very rich families, and have I don't know, kind of a lot of money and all that. Elite matrimony. Yeah, you got it. Okay. So, but what about Canada matrimony? So, still now I'm not getting you guys playing along. Can Elite matrimony be for Kannada speaking?
Yes, it can be.
So
It
Elite
can be.
matrimony can also be for Kannada speaking.
Yes.
But Kannada speaking would Mr. Tamilian be interested in visiting that website, even if he's ultra rich? Yes or no? No. The Tamilians will not visit Kannada matrimony because you're making it very clear that people who are looking for alliance. So you know who this product is for. But one thing is clear, that it's for those who want not married. Now, what is this? Who is this product not for? You can see it, diversematrimony.com. Who is this product not for? Who is this product not for?
Those
Unmarried.
who are not divorcees.
Unmarried.
Who are not divorcees? That means anybody who's married can come visit this website. Huh? So who is this? So come out with clear definition of what is this product not meant for.
For people who are looking for alliances who are not divorcees.
Okay, so the ones who want to get married for the first time, it's not meant for them. It's meant for those. The best example of this is secondshadi.com. Secondshadi.com is a very popular by this guy called Ankur Vaiku or something like that. The guy very popular. Okay, anyway, so you see there are certain products which are meant for certain people and certain products which are not meant for certain people. Okay, why am I doing all this crazy exercise? Is because, of course, you guys know it, all of this. We'll not get there. Now look at this. We are looking at three main topics. What is the time? 2:50. So we'll finish this slide and take a break. Look at these products. So when you want to start a restaurant, you have two choices. What are the choices you have? Oh, veg and non-veg is a great choice, no doubt about it. But when you look at this choice, what is the choice that you have? You can either come up with a fast food or you can come up with a relaxed fine dine restaurant. So first you have to segment yourself as to whom are you trying to address. If you are Udupi or what is that kind of places? Udupi Upachar or Shanti Sagar, you're in, people are in a great hurry. Just take a bite and get out. They don't want to have a fine dine, but mostly in the evening, you want to sit down and have a nice restaurant food, you would want to have it. So you have to make one segmentation as to both are addressable markets. Both are huge markets. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of money in both markets. You have to decide, make your first distinction as to who you're going to. Then there is a college here. There are two things. Education loan for doing your postgrad or doing your education, or second PU failed. There are two possible advertisements that will come out inside once the second PUC results are announced. So you see, what are you trying to do? You have a huge market of everybody who's come out of the second PU is looking at something. Either he's failed and then you give him second PU failed, you put up a target, or you give for educational loans. So now you have a product, you have two potential users, you need to target any one of them, depending on what your product is. I think they just switched off the air conditioner. Okay, so you either have fast food or fine dine, you know whom you're going to target, either educational loans or second PUC. Now, it's a motorbike. It's a motorbike. And who is this? This is a worker. And this is a college student. Now, the same motorbike, you can position it either for a college student or you can position it for a worker. Now, what is it that a worker would want in the motorbike? Robust, more mileage, less maintenance. What would the college boy want? Fancy, speed, flashy, makes him impressive. He like the Dio ad, right? So there you go. You have three segmentation. You either segment the market, you target a particular market, and position your own product depending on who you want to do it. So we are going to spend the next 30 minutes or 45 minutes talking about segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Why? Because in your assignment one, That's why I told you, hold on till your third class to do it. In your assignment 1, I want you to talk about segmentation, targeting, and position. Right? So now take a 15-minute break, come back, and then we will see. What's the next slide? Let's. Okay, but maybe we'll spend 1 minute on this slide. Sorry, huh? Okay. Alto, Brezza, Ertiga, Benz, Audi, Tesla. This is a small question that I've asked you. A quick answer. The earlier you answer, the earlier go for your cup of tea. Typical age of a person using Alto. 45,
50,
40 plus. Okay. Typical age of a person who is using Tesla. I mean, unfortunately, no Tesla here, but so let's forget Tesla. Let's look at the Audi. Typical age. So you brought in Alto at 40. Doesn't matter. There's nothing right or wrong about it. I'm just trying to see your mental framework.
30 to 40.
40. Alto is for how much did you say Alto was? 40. More than 40. Okay. Then income. We are comparing only two now. We are comparing Audi versus Alto. Income. In less income is Alto. So as the person goes older, his income falls down. Huh? That's what you guys did just now, right? ये तो 40 में ऑटो ऑडी लिया, 50 में बेच के ऑटो लिया. Okay, there you. So you want to redefine it? Okay, hang on. All fine. Gender. Is it gender important? Gender is not very important, right? Family size. Now tell me Alto versus Audi. How big is the family? Now both of you become very careful not to talk. Well, look, family size. How many people the typical owner of an Alto will have, and how many people will the typical owner of a Tesla have? I mean, Audi, whatever. Just, I'm not going to. In both cases, it's an irrelevant discussion. It's not very important. Location. Where is that person likely to be staying? Even in
OD will prefer city, sir. Alto will prefer.
What is that, Sudesh?
OD will prefer city locations.
Audi will mostly be located. Audi buyer would be mostly located in city. Yeah. Alto person.
Both side.
Oh, so Alto is kind of a universal buy.
Yeah.
Whereas the Audi guy is more or less in the thing. Where do they dine? Where do they dine? Where do they go out and eat? Audi versus Alto.
Sir, Alto will go to Upahar Darshini and Audi will go to Marriott.
Auto will go to Udupi. Audi
Yes.
will go to
Marriott.
Marriott or okay. Which channel do they watch?
Alto will watch Colors Kannada and
and Audi will watch
CNN.
CNN. Okay. So which feature will close the deal? Now listen to me. Which feature? Okay, I'll tell you. By the way, Sandhya, Alto takes you from Kudlu Gate to Jayanagar in 32 minutes. Audi also takes you in 32 minutes. Actually, it may become a little bit longer because the Alto guy doesn't mind scratching his thing. But there was a time when I don't know how many of you know this place called Avenue Road. So there was a time that when we were much younger than you guys were. So I and my friend would have a challenge is that drive across Avenue Road entire length without keeping your leg down on your two-wheeler. And you can imagine how many cars we must have banged, how many people would have done. We wouldn't care a damn for it. If something happens, our parents will pay for repairing the motorbike. So that was the concept, or we were funny. So again, so what feature would close the deal? Alto gives you a mileage of 32 or no, it doesn't give you 32, 20 kilometers per liter. Audi gives you 3 kilometers per liter. So what feature, you know all the features about the car. So what feature will close the deal for Alto versus thing? What feature?
Safety.
Tell me. Yeah, estimate. Yeah, we are getting there. All of them are based to a conversation. Very, very true. So what is the feature that you're looking at? Comfort over mileage or a status over travel, things like that, right? So this is what it is. So as you can see, when I ask you gender, you say gender is least important. It doesn't really matter. Men would drive Alto, women would drive Audis as well. So this is what it is. So just because a woman walks into an Audi showroom, you can't ignore her. You're making a big mistake, right? Just because if you don't know your customer properly and assume that if it's a man who's buying the Audi, you're in trouble, right? So let's take a break after this, unless there's another slide which says, okay, we'll forget this, come back exactly after 15 minutes. What's the time now? Okay, those of you online, let me talk to you guys for a minute or so if you're there. Alvin, Christopher, are you there? Anup, Arun, Bhargava.
Hi, sir. It's Anup here.
Yeah, hi Anup. Which group do you belong? Are you following my classes?
Yes, sir. Group 1. I'm
Group
following.
1, and you had a look at your assignment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you following my classes is something you want me to help you out with? Good, no problem.
Yes, sir. I'm good with it.
Okay, Rajesh. Fine.
Prof.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah, I'm just doing a cross check because those in the classroom, I can look at their faces and talk to them. You guys, I don't get to see you, and probably the right time for me to switch on my video also. I'm just trying to cross check. Bhargava, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Good. Are you following the idea of consumer behavior, market research, and all that? Chaitra, Chinmay, Dinesh, Nalini S. Bhatt, all of you are just pulling out names. Riaz, I know you unmuted yourself.
Yes, sir. I'm doing great, sir. Thank you so much.
Good, good. Where are you working? What are you doing?
I'm working in Germany company called MAG India. We basically CNC machine tool manufacturing company.
Wow.
Headquarters in Stuttgart.
Wow, man. Good, good. Very nice. Very nice. There are two Shrijit. Are you twins or something? Or? No.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, hi. Hi. Hi, Sandhya. I know you've been unmuting yourself often. I want you all to unmute once in a while. Make some noise. Not okay. Vaishnavi, hi. How are you? This is a name I'm now quite familiar with. Vaishnavi. No, she's off class. I think. Yogesh.
Hello, sir. I'm doing good. How are you, sir?
Good. I had a friend with a similar surname. So I don't know. Yeah, your surname is very somebody I know. Okay, good. So let's start off the class, and the last person who comes in after this will have to explain all the 4 terms. Okay. Is there anybody coming? Kept coming, no? Okay. Okay, let's see what happens. The last person. Segmentation, targeting, differentiation, value proposition, and positioning. Okay. So you see, segmentation as a subject is really quite new in the sense earlier we didn't really segment our market. We had one BSNL phone connection. We had 2 cars. One was an ambassador, one was a premier. Where's the question of segmentation? You buy what I give you. That's it. There is no thing. And so why segment has now become very popular or very important is because then the world was very different. It was a mass market. There was just only one market. What do you do about it? If there's only one BSNL connection, and I didn't know if you've seen the movie in '83, she talks about you having to wait for 8-9 years for a BSNL phone line connection. That's a factor. So at that time, where is the segmentation? There's no segmentation. And earlier, there was a long product life. You had the same product which was there on and on and on and on. And now there's no same product, right? I mean, our phones don't last for more than a year. Or if actually over the last couple of years, the phones are lasting longer. Earlier, virtually every year we were replacing our phones, but now maybe a little bit longer. And third reason why segmentation was not important was customers were very naive. Naive means what? Any idea what is a naive customer? If you heard the term naive, not heard
Innocent.
the term naive. Yeah, what is naive?
They were more innocent. They were not exposed.
They're more
to a lot of
innocent. They're less educated. So what are you going to fight about, right? What are you going? Whatever you sell, they're going to buy it. They close their eyes and buy it. So the customers are very naive, and customer bought products because they helped them, because there were features in it which was good. It did something good for them. We don't buy products just because they do good for us. We buy products because we like them. We just buy products just to show off. That is what it is, right? And I'm sure that's a fact of life. I just want to live it like that. Then there's limited offering. There's only 2 products or 3 products, and you want to buy it or forget it. And opaque pricing. Pricing was a very strange thing. Nobody would tell you what the pricing was, how that pricing got evolved. And we will actually spend a class maybe next or after that sometime on pricing. But now the market is very different. The market is a fragmented market. The market is really split. His choices are different from his choices. Your choice is different from another choice. I cannot make a mass market product. It's not going to work. Nano said that I'm going to make a mass volume product. Not going to work. People have varied choices. There is a Ford company, or there's a Ford car called Mondeo. I don't know. It's a car that got introduced in 2002, 2003 or something like that. There's actually a history behind that, but I'll just stick to the basics. Is that Ford said, we are a global company. So we're going to come up with a global car. We're going to come up with one car which meets everybody's interest. And that's going to be the most wonderful car that ever came up. It was called the Mondeo. So the Mondeo got released. And I remember the Mondeo, and I'll tell you how excited I am to tell you about the Tata Tanish story is because I have watched them grow. Most case studies that I learned when I was in college were case studies in 60s, 70s, I had no connection with. But when you talk about case studies which are so real in front of you, you feel good to explain it. So similarly, Mondeo got released worldwide. And on the same day when I was driving to work, I saw a Mondeo car. I said, India has really come to life. You know, that is 2003. I mean, this is India, man. Imagine that it's the same day the car gets released and we watch it. There was a time when movies got released in India 6 months after they were released in the US. For example, lots of movies, they ran in New Year's for some time and then you go and they come get released here. But now they get released the same day. India has come of age. But back to the Mondeo car, they said it's a world car. And it flopped. It was a super flop. The reason was it's impossible for you to please everybody. You know that famous saying, one who tries to please all ends up displeasing all, right? I mean, you have to choose between your mother-in-law and your husband. You make sure who you're going to please, right? So, or you need to please even your customers, you need to have certain customers who are paying and you take care of them. So why did Mondio fail? Mondio failed because in Asia, we want mileage. Because in Europe, you want comfort. Because in US, you want speed. You cannot have mileage, comfort, and speed in a singular car. It's impossible. It's theoretically, technically, physically, scientifically impossible. So similarly, a mass market is dead. Today, it's a fragmented market. Demands are so much of demands. Each one of them want to have it. And short product life. We forget so many products that they come up, boom, 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 they just die. And naive customers are replaced by demanding customers. We want a certain product. I'm willing to pay for it. I'm willing to pay for it. How much will you give me? I once in a while walk with my wife when she wants to give her clothes for stitching and all that. And there appears this all demanding customer. It says she wants her garment stitched. That guy says, you got a queue waiting for 14 days. And she says, kitna paisa loge, kal hi de do. It's not good. So you have demanding customers. And then you are moved by emotion. By an Apple ad, you're carried by it. Or you have a Shahrukh come up with something, you're going to be carried. It's no longer features which matter. It's emotion which matter. And every day there's a new launch. And finally, transparent pricing. If I'm not happy with the way you priced your product, and if you're not honest with me on your pricing, I'm not going to buy it. So this said, we need to look at what is segmentation. So segmentation is, how do you divide the market based on their characteristics, needs, and behaviors? But most importantly, you can't just give me one big segment that we can do here in the classroom. What is one segmentation I can do? I can do by age. I can even do a even more simpler segmentation, which is by gender. I can do a segmentation by gender.
Online,
so,
offline.
Okay, so now I can do by age group, and then I can introduce you to executive MBA program and say people belonging to 30 and above is an ideal age group for you to do an executive MBA program. Maybe good idea, well done. Or I might come back and say people who are 3 years and above with a work experience, great idea to do it as another segmentation. Then I come back and say people who are wearing glasses. That's the best way to do your executive MBA program. Doesn't make sense, right? So while you can segment the group by the people who are wearing glasses, these segments have to be actionable. These segments have to be profitable. What is a big point in coming and go back and come do a market research and say, I've noticed that 30% of the people who do executive MBA wear glasses. So best place to advertise is in Lawrence and Mayo and Titan showrooms. No, it has to be actionable. What is the point in having a segmentation that doesn't make sense? So a segment has to be measurable. I need to know how many men, how many women, how many 3 years, how many 5 years. I must get that data accessible. I must be able to reach to that segment separately in a consistent manner. But what is the point in doing all this segmentation if it doesn't result in profitability? And if I'm not able to do anything actionable, then what is a big point? So remember these points. Segmentation is looking at the characteristics, needs, and behaviors, but you can't widely segment itself unless and until the segment is actionable, profitable, and all of this, right? Then, having segmented the market, what do you do with segmented the market? Having segmented the market, you go ahead and decide that I will get into specific markets. For example, this is a total market. This is the total market. Okay, this is the total market of all guys interested in doing the MBA. Here's the total market of guys doing the MBA. So the segments could be those who want to do not MBA, those who wants to do postgrad. So you could have those doing HR, those doing MBA, those doing engineering specialization, those who want to do accounting specialization. These are the 4 product lines that we have. Then, having done the segmentation, you might do only an MBA program. You might do an MBA program. And in that MBA program, you can run a regular MBA program, you can run an online MBA program, or you can run a hybrid MBA. So there is market, there's market segmentation, and then there are segments of the market that you address. You might also want to do it little differently, saying that I may not handle all of those key subjects. I might want to handle only 1 or 2 or 3 of them. Or you could have every segment of the market being addressed by a full market coverage. So these are the 3 ways in which you can do this market segmentation. I picked up this slide. I think there's a little bit of orientation on the slides. I picked up this slide from an online presentation. I like the slide. Somewhere I have actually acknowledged and mentioned the person's name. It's somewhere there, but it's not my slide. Yeah. Yeah. Which yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah, okay, let's assume that you are deep pocketed, you have no shortage of money, you as an entity or an organization, and things like that. And you know that this is a whole segment. This is a whole segment of the market that you are. But just because you have unlimited resources, just because you have unlimited access to people, you still cannot do an full-fledged address, because market research sometimes might throw you a challenge which is quite different from what the result could be. So let's look at this, and I want you to complete this, and I want you all to complete this. Telecom is the total market. Mobile, fixed line services, internet, OTT platform. Name one company which is doing all of this. Mobile, fiber connection, Jio. OTT, Jio. But Mr. Jio is right now here, right? Mr. Jio, for those of you who are not watching me, I'm talking about the full market segment. But Mr. Jio didn't enter that way. Jio enters using a first product, comes up with only Jio Mobile. They know that eventually 3 years from now, I have to be everywhere. So even out there, I used to interact with the Jio guys, and I was waiting for them to come to Bangalore. They said, Bangalore is not in my list for the first 2 years. Bangalore, I'll only come after I have completed Bombay, I've completed Delhi, I've completed Ahmedabad, then I'll come there. Because you have to do as much error correction as possible before you go into a full-fledged case, right? Otherwise, you might end up doing a product withdrawal. And it's the most shameful thing to do a product withdrawal. When you introduce a product and the product is not liked by the customer, you do what is called a product withdrawal. So you don't want to do in a situation that though Jio has no shortage of money, though Mr. Ambani is using the same fiber optic cable to provide all the services, there's no way that they will enter all markets, because you want to enter a market which is what? Which is just this slide, which is initially actionable, which is initially profitable. All of them are profitable. But do I want to spread my resources, all over the place? No, I don't want to spread my resources. I want to concentrate my resources on what it is. I will come back and tell you guys as on another day. The subject is that there is what is called, what is the term? We will talk about it. It's called guerrilla marketing. What is guerrilla marketing? Yeah, what a crazy professor is supposed to teach us and he's asking us what it is. Is that what you're saying? No, but I'm just saying, but what could be guerrilla marketing? What is guerrilla warfare? Hide and fight. Do guerrilla warfare guys have any rules? No rules. Whatever rules is the army. Whatever rules is the government. Guerrillas don't have rules, right? Or they follow a different kind of rules. Yeah. Yeah, they do anything, hide behind the bushes, shoot you on the back. Then solid warfare rules says don't shoot your enemy at the back, right? You can at the most make comments about him in the back, but not shoot him in the back. So, but what happens? The reason why I asked you this, why I told you this, is because you said, can we address all markets? So similarly, you should never thin your resources. So I'll give this example, and it's your duty to tell me when I give this example in your class that, sir, you've already quoted this example previously. So do you know Chanakya? You know him well, right? Or at least you've read him well. So Chanakya was with his assistant called the king. What is his name? Vikrama Chandragupta, right? Chandragupta and he were there together. They were trying to fight the Magadha Empire, the Magadha Empire. Okay. So what happens is every time he attacks every time with full force, he attacks the capital. And every time when he attacks the capital, he gets defeated. So then he said, what's wrong with me? Why is it that I'm not able with all my full forces? Why is it that I'm not able to defeat the kingdom? Then one fine day when Chanakya is sitting in the hot sun below a tree and wondering what to do, he sees a mother and child having lunch. He sees a mother and child having lunch. Now, what's a typical lunch? Is a rice and sambar or something like that. So there's rice and there is hot sambar. You know how people have rice. They make a kind of a well and then the hot sambar is poured there. So, then what happens? The child puts his hand right in the center and burns his finger. So the mother teaches the child, saying that that's a wrong way to eat the food. You need to attack the food in the sides. By the time the rasam or sambar has seeped out and it's a little bit cooler, and then you can eat it. That's when Chanakya realizes that this is a lesson for me. Is that I should not take all my forces and attack the center, but I must concentrate on the small villages in the edge of the kingdom and capture it. And so that is how it is able to capture and slowly gets the whole kingdom surrounded. So similarly, you cannot go all bang in a market where there's already competition. There are lots of other players. So the only way to do it is handle one market, see how that market reacts, see how they're going to be very nice. And it took a long time for Jio. Earlier, what was Jio's offer? 6 months free data, right? Very beginning, free data. And I don't know how many of you had the free data SIMs with you, but at that time, if I asked you for that phone number, same number, you wouldn't even know it. People took the SIM only because it gave free data. So you can't go, which then brings up to the other topic, which is probably the best time for me to switch the topic. But I hope you guys are okay with me switching topics, because I have one subject which I have not covered. Online, are you guys okay with me switching topics like this?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I remember asking you to tell me, and there's a right time for me to bring up that topic for discussion, which is New share. I'm assuming this is the one. You can see this, right? Okay. One thing I told you that I didn't cover in the previous class was product life. Okay. So what was I saying was that earlier people bought SIM, got the data or I'm sorry, people got the Geo SIM only because it was free. And I used to ask my friends, what is your Geo number? अरे छोड़ो यार, वही number पे करो, ये तो हम फेंक देंगे 6 महीने के बाद. So you can't jump by the fact that, oh my God, there are 10 million people who have taken a Geo connection and take it for granted. No, it's most likely that out of the 10, 7 might throw the thing the moment the free offer goes off. But now, of course, this thing is stabilized. Why am I saying that? Is all of us know what is a product life cycle. What is a product life cycle? Every product is like a human being. And you can't deny it. Every product, actually, even you are a product life cycle. Today, right now, all of you are young, you are in the growth phase, the company is wanting you. Now I'm getting philosophical. I'm going to stay with that for the next 5 minutes, scare the hell out of you, and then come back into this. So today you are in the growth phase. Today you are an important asset to your company because you are moldable, meaning that you are flexible and willing to accept the vision, mission, and objectives of the company. But at my age, if I join another company, I'm going to question their visions, I'm going to question their mission, and I'm going to not follow what it is. So you are in a phase where you are moldable. But over a period of time, you reach what is called a maturity phase, where your job skills are mature. You're not adding new job skills. And even the job skills that you have learned over the last 20 years are no longer useful for the organization, because you know half the jobs are getting automated, half the jobs are going away to automation. So then you are not as employable as somebody else. So when there is a awakening or there's a vacancy, who do they want? Do they want somebody with maturity, or do they want somebody who is more flexible? So that's when you need to decide as to what parameters in me or what features in me will make the company want. The features needn't necessarily be IT skills. The features could be managerial skills. So that is a time for you to move away from being a contributor or to the organization to managing the organization. Then you are still valid. Then you are still doing well. Similarly, product life cycles also have a life. They have an introductory phase. That's when the people are excited about the product. Over a period of time, the product becomes like the toothpaste or whatever it is. Then the product has a growth phase. Everybody wants to use that product. And like the Maruti, the first Maruti car that they came, or the Alto, or whichever, that Maruti 800. Oh, Maruti 800, when it got introduced, second-hand value was twice the cost of the car. And people were excited to buy it. But over a period of time, it's no longer innovation. It just goes and dies. So we have to ensure that our products have a long life and do that. But this is a very old way of looking at things. Even possibly before you joined an MBA class, you knew what was a product life cycle. The new way of looking at things is not that way. The new way of looking at things is the law of diffused innovation. This was the subject that, thanks, you wanted, I did not cover in the very first class of ours. What does the law of diffusion say? The law of diffusion says, today, most products are technology products, right? Today, if I ask you to name some 5 products, you will come back and say, maybe Paytm was a new product, or M-Fine, which is, I think it's somewhere there, here, okay, or an OTT platform, or a new app, or a new gizmo that's come up. So all of that. But how do you evaluate such things? The new way to evaluate them is to define the life of the product, not based on the product. Here we are talking about life of the product based on the product. And remember, 4Ps is dead, I told you. 4Ps is now replaced by silence. 4Ps is replaced by
3 Cs.
4Cs, correct. For product is not important. It's the customer which is important. It's the price which is not important. What is important? Cost to the customer. It's not your communication. It's convenience which is important. So now, if you look at your product from the product life cycle, you will not understand it. But if you look at the product from the consumer life cycle, you will start understanding what is really the product. Now, look at this. The moment a product gets introduced, 2.5% of the consumers will rush and buy the product. Similarly, who are these? These are those guys who ran and bought the geo connection just because it gave free data. Or I don't know how many of you have this Wi-Fi bulb in your house. Oh, I was the first guy to go and buy it. A very funny product is that you attach that bulb. It's got a Wi-Fi communication to your home router. You have an app and you can play around with it. 256 colors of light and all that. I was excited about it, and because these are what are called innovators. Innovators are the ones who rush and buy products just because they are available. But innovators are not the key users of the company. Innovators, nobody trusts an innovator. So I go and tell you, hey, listen, I went and bought a Wi-Fi bulb, I can control the bulb using my app. You're not going to trust me. Because, hey, this guy to kuch leta hi rehta hai all the time. He is always playing around with it. Never trust him because he uses it and then he throws it off. Similarly, in every app, in every product that comes up, there are what are called these innovators. The company should consider them seriously because they are the ones who are going to give them the impetus. But the company cannot assume, wow, the innovators have bought, so the product is going to be a success. No. Apart from the innovators, there are who are called the early adopters. Who are early adopters? Early adopters, typically, there's no hard number. This says 13.5 is just a number. So don't challenge yourself with saying, oh, is it 13.5 or 14? Early adopters are those who start buying the product the first time, meaning the ones who went and bought Alexa, or the ones who started downloading the OTT platform, or the ones, I think there's an example here, some examples. Yeah, so M-Fine, how many of you know what's M-Fine? Right, yeah, so I took M-Fine, not bad. I mean, maybe M-Fine has moved from innovator to early adopter. I was one of the first guys to download the M-Fine app because I knew a guy who was working for a what is called venture capital company, and they had just invested in this company called M-Fine. I was among the first 1,000 or 10,000 guys who downloaded it. But now M-Fine is now very, very popular. It's just moved to early adopters. Early adopters are those who don't rush and buy a product, but who are the early buyers. Now, why are they so very important? Because let's assume Pooja for today's discussion. So Pooja does not belong to the innovators. Pooja belongs to the early adopter. So when Pooja walks in and says, hey guys, listen, I downloaded that M-Fine app, then you take it seriously. Wow, if Pooja has downloaded it, kuch to hai usme. That product must have value. It's not like Ramesh who's downloaded the M-Fine app because the guy is just crazily buying things. But then don't dismiss the Ramesh kind of characters because they are the ones who give you the initial push on the graph. So early adopters are the ones who get the best deals. Early adopters are the ones whom the company takes very seriously. They wait for your inputs. They're running behind you to get your data. What do you feel about the product? What are your things? And because you are also great influencers in the market. The moment Pooja gets this, she tells her colleagues, and it's most likely that her colleagues will end up downloading the M-Finance. So these are early. Look at the end of the early adopter curve. At the end of the early adopter curve, you have what is called the tipping point. What is tipping point? What is tipping point? I'll give you an example of a tipping point in a very funny way, and then we'll get it. Do you know the story of what is her name? Story of Lord Krishna? Of course, right? There are not many who don't know. And his wife was Rukmini, right? But then he also had a friend when he in his childhood. What is her name? Radha or something like that. So what happens when, just to make you understand tipping point, I'm giving you a very funny example. I just thought of an example right now. Is that when Rukmini wants to give equivalent gold to the temple, she makes Krishna sit on one side of the weighing scale, and she starts putting gold on the other side, and any amount of gold doesn't tilt the balance, right? And then comes Krishna's sweetheart, which is Radhe, and she's supposed to put one tulasi on that thing, and tuck, the tilt happens, right? We've all heard the story, right? If you haven't heard it, you heard it today. So, but tipping point is that point on the graph. Its tipping point is that point on the graph where the 13.5 plus 2.5, which is approximately 16% of the market, is captured. Then the product is a super success. The product is now becomes virtually available. Like, for example, Netflix or any other thing. Earlier, they were Netflix. Netflix has been hanging around in India for almost about 8-9 years, if I'm right. Yeah, surely for 8-9 years or 5-6 years, so something like that. And it's no longer a early adopter stage. You must have one of the OTT platforms if you want to stay socially connected. So it becomes a tipping point. Then what happens? Everybody starts buying that product. That is early majority. Early majority stage is when the company starts making profits. The company starts seeing growth. The company sees competition coming in. Till this phase, normally even the competition doesn't appear. Here is when the competition becomes a very, very important player. Till this phase, the company is very much interested in the consumer. After that come what I call the late majorities. Late majorities are those who still are not using Uber, who are now started with the last 1 or 2 years, they've started using Uber. They don't know how Uber works and things like that. But the company doesn't really care about them. You know, they will not give them any discounts. This major discount is given here. Offers are given at this phase, and here they don't really care about the new guy coming in. Laggards are those kinds of people like my father-in-law doesn't know how to use a credit card. Father-in-law doesn't know how to use an ATM. That's okay, fair enough. There will always be such kind of people, but nobody is going to develop with these kinds of people in mind. So you have two kinds of way in which you look at a product from the company's viewpoint, or a product from the viewpoint of the user. So this is loss of diffusion of innovation, and that is product life cycle. This is one thing that I had not taught you guys, and I have completed it. Any questions? Questions are most welcome, by the way, if you guys are aware of it. Okay, now back to this. What's the time? 4. Okay, we have to complete this. We will have to go a little over. 6:30 is okay, right? Yeah, is it okay? It's okay, 6:15. Okay, so this is segmentation. You understood what is segmentation. What are the levels of segmentation? I'll finish all of them in 15 minutes and then you have a test. Right. What is segmentation? One level of segment. What is the highest level of segmentation that you can do? The base segmentation is no segmentation. The highest level of segmentation is right here. Individual. Address every one of you. That is very difficult, right? To come up with a product that exactly meets her needs. Come up with a product that exactly meets his need, but that will be fine segmentation. If I can do it with my customers, that's possible, but that's only provided you have very few customers and you can do your product. The other segmentation is mass segmentation. Segmentation based on one or two products. Niche segmentation is only that small part of the segmentation, and individual segmentation. Nano actually came up with the idea of mass customization. What does mass customization mean? That I'll come up with mass production, but you can customize your design. What kind of seats do you want? What kind of leather seats you want? What kind of lighting arrangement? The closest example is Dell. You can go to a Dell website, design the kind of drive you want, design the kind of CD-ROM you want, design the kind of screen size you want, and still come up with it. So it is possible for us to do mass customization, but that's going to take some real big effort. Then you have the segmenting. How do you segment your market? You segment it by demographically, by age, criteria, and all that, or by cultural behavior. People who are inclined to a particular type of culture, they have a certain liking for such products. Then psychological, what do you value? What are your thoughts and things like that? And then behavior, how do you react to a particular product? For example, about 3-4 months back, Hyundai was not, nobody wanted to buy Hyundai product because Hyundai said anti-Indian slogans in Pakistan. So how does such carriers or such comments impact you? That is the other segmentation. Then we have, this is just one example of what a segment is. Targeting. What is targeting? I gave you an example of targeting, which is having segmented into 3-4 areas. Which of that segment are you going to pay attention to? So that is targeting. This is something that you will read on your own. And targeting is like, for example, you're an airline company, and there are those people who are flying regularly, and there are occasional flyers. Who do you want to focus on? The regular flyers, because the regular flyers are the ones that you want to focus on, because they will be giving you more returns. And so you have frequent flying programs which will enable you to encourage a particular guy to move in. Or you have always this 80-20 rule, saying that in most companies, and even in my classroom, 80% of the firm's sales will come from 20% of its customers. 80% of my interaction will be with 20% of the students. There'll be another 80% of the students who will be very quiet, but that doesn't mean that they are not interactive. They have a different way of work. So 80-20 is a very important rule. It's called the Pareto principle. The Pareto principle says 80% of your email is junk, and 20% of your email is this. 3 hours of conversation, 80% of it can be removed, and 20% of content can actually be considered. So that is also what it is. So why is food bad in bus stands? Because it's a bus stand. The bad hygiene. What else? Why is there bad?
The footfall, there is a lot of footfall. They are not regular customers. They keep
They are
coming and
not
going.
regular customers. You go and complain. Hey, your food was bad. There was a cockroach. Hey, go and complain. Next time, when are you going to come on this road anyway? Right? So nobody cares for you. Why is it's on my way from Bangalore to Gulbarga. I stop somewhere and I'm going to take you to Consumer Court. That's provided you come again, right? So where is that? So similarly, restaurants consider regular customers more seriously. Restaurants consider second regular customers seriously, but they don't really care if a non-regular customer is very upset with the kind of service. Just to give you an idea of what is all this about. Targeting challenges. Okay, I want you guys to read it. I'm not going to get focused on it. Differentiation and okay. What's the time? 4 to 4:05. I want you to pay absolute attention. If you do not pay attention to this, you're going to miss out on a very important point, which will take you forward in the remaining class. The 3 points we are discussing here, pay attention. 3 points we are discussing is called frames of reference, points of parity, and points of difference. Now listen very carefully. What is frames of reference? When you come up with a product, you're going to define the frame in which your product is going to be defined. Are you a fast food restaurant or are you a fine dining restaurant? That is the definition. Are you delivering executive MBA program? Are you delivering radio taxis? Are you delivering food on an app? That is the basic framework that you have. Once you have defined your framework, then you end up with 3 circles: the company, the consumer, and the competition. For the rest of your life, if you are in marketing, these are the 3 things in your life: consumer, company, and competition. What happens between the company and the consumer? What happens between the consumer and the competition? And what's happening between you and your competition? It's a lifelong battle. But for today's today's discussion, we're going to talk about points of parity and points of difference. A consumer wants a certain product. Now, you have this circle, this area, where the consumer's requirement is addressed by your company. The consumer's requirement is also addressed by the competition. So, consumer wants a certain thing. This is points of parity. Points of parity are those features that a customer is looking for and is addressed by you and addressed by the competitor. So there's no issue out there, right? This is if you do not address points of parity, the consumer is not going to buy your product, because that's a basic requirement of the product. So you must meet those parameters. Then there is what is called the POD, which is a point of difference. The point of difference is that which you are offering to the consumer, and the consumer is interested in it. That's why it's got a circle out there, but it's not being offered by the competition. Yes, of course, in any situation, there are certain features that is offered by the competition, interested by the consumer, which you are not able to offer. So 3 points that you must remember is frame of reference, points of parity, and points of difference. Now, there is this, what is this area? This area are features that you have, but is not of interest to the consumer. What are these then? What are these? Now you will look for a different type of consumer who is looking at a different kind of a product, and then we may have another circle out here. So this is segmentation. This segment of the customer has this point of parity. We might have another customer who will have different segment of parity. I hope you guys are following. So remember 3 lines: frame of reference, points of parity, and point of difference. Any questions so far? You must also tell me if I'm running fast. I'm not, right? So last subject of the thing, look at these slides and tell me what can you make out. What does this particular slide tell you? Etc., etc., whatever the slide is. What does that picture tell you? Guys, Riaz,
Pleasing the
Yogesh.
customer.
Sandhya, go ahead. Tell me.
Trying to please the customer.
What does it say?
Please the customer, sir.
On the first one, golf.
Etc. etc. So
What is right above etc. etc. 999999. So what does it tell you?
Distance.
So what is the company telling you? You can drive. The company is saying we will be with you long journey. Our product is highly durable, 99,999 still valid and doing well. So what does this one say? The car and the aircraft. It's still the same Volkswagen ad. What does it say? Users in the plane can get into the car. You're not paying attention. Look at it one more time.
Powerful.
Car
Car has a
Jack-
powerful
Jack,
engine that it can pull you all the way, even if it is an aircraft. That's what it's saying. It's not talking about how long it'll work. It's each of us have a different requirement. What does this say?
It's so
Have a
light
few
that
happened
the
to you,
froth
right?
is-
It's a light beer. It's a light beer. Nothing wrong with thinking about it. What's the last one say? Yeah, so we feel comfortable at our place. So each of these companies want to send you a message. Each of the companies want to send you a message. Now, Thailand may say, or not Thailand, what is the Thai Airs might say hospitality. But what does Indigo want to say? You guys have been looking at Indigo ads. So what does Indigo want to say? Cost-effective service or in-time service? Exactly. They are not talking about we being hospitable. They are not saying we are going to give you chilled water in the flight. You actually have to pay for it. They are very clear as to how they want to position their product. The product is the same. The product is still an aircraft taking you from point A to point B. So these guys saying you will feel comfortable, you will feel relaxed, you will feel warm. Indigo says you will not feel any of them, but trust me, I'll take you cheap and in time. Emirates, what do they say? Oh, you will have a wonderful time. Don't disturb our air hostess. Our air hostess are very busy. They're not going to talk to you, but we'll give you 500 channels. We'll give you some great food. So each of these companies want to position themselves in your mind. Then nothing about the product. The product is just the same. So what is positioning? Positioning is the battle for your mind. So we talked about segmentation is how you break the mass market into multiple pieces. Targeting is which one of these broken pieces do you want to focus on? And segmentation, what is the message that you want to convey? So let's say I segment the air travelers and say there are those business travelers and there are those let's say who's this honeymoon travelers and there are family travelers. So I decide that I'm going to focus on those honeymoon travelers, and then I tell you that you will have great hospitality and our flights land in time and we provide you the cheapest service. No, You may have segmented the market, but you want to make sure that segment market also you target properly and position the correct messages, right? So this is what is positioning all about, right? So if you have understood positioning, I'll tell you what this is for you to read about positioning. Positioning is a very tough game. How do you create in the mind of the person? Okay. Look at what Apple positions themselves as. They don't position as cheap. They position them as a aspiring product, right? Now look at so what is the benefits of positioning? It facilitates product selection. You know for sure that you want to travel by Indigo, Thai or Emirates, depending on what is it that are you in a great hurry? Are you going with your family or are you going on a holiday? Depends on what it is. Increases the benefits and avoids competition on price. So you cannot compare the pricing of Indigo with the pricing of Emirates. Impossible, because our intentions are different. Our positioning of the product are different. So it is possible for two players to be in the same market. So of course it gives you great amount of brand value. Just to tell you how complicated is positioning, look at Tatas. We talked of Tata, Titan, Tanishq. Let's talk about another Tata. Tata have now they were already famous for trucks and buses. So they said that we will enter the car market. So what is the first car that they came out with? They came out with Tata trucks are reliable. And so they said the customers will trust us because our trucks are absolutely reliable. And so they came up with an Indica. The Indica was a rustic car. The Indica was making more noises than the horn, right? There were all kinds of noises from the car. Nobody wanted to buy an Indica. And finally, unfortunately, every taxi was an Indica. And so, hey man, we are buying an Indica. Yeah? Uber, and if I think I've told you all the story. If I haven't told you the story, when I book an Uber, I immediately go to the. We have a small puja room. Go there and pray. Say, Bhagwan, mujhe etios bhejo. And never send me an Indica because disaster. So Indica got branded. The Tata car got branded as a taxi, and so the car is not for me. Look at the trouble for Tata. They come up with a car market, and the customer doesn't want it. That's because of your own mistake, Mr. Tata. Then they came up with Nano. Nano was a super flop. Sumo was a super flop. Safari was a super flop. Nobody wants to touch the car. Hey man, no way. So how does a company like Tata, and today it's a different story, but how does a company like Tata come back? It's a long time effort. You will appreciate the time that we are talking about. Then something happens to Tata. What happens? Tata acquires Jaguar. So, man, this is news. Jaguar being bought by Tata. I think this is great news. Indian. I feel all of a sudden I'm feeling more Indian now. Okay. And then he said, okay, good. But still, Tata car se dur rahenge. Still don't trust a Tata. But your mind is slightly softened up. Then Tata comes up with products like Ultras, Tiago, Tigor. Still not buying, but you're saying, kuch to ho raha hai. I think something is happening to Tata. Tata is slowly wakening up. It looks interesting, but I still will not buy. Then comes Nexon. I said, wow, this is the car. This is the car. And I will buy. Then comes out Harrier. I said, wow, what a car. This is what it is. So you see, even though the Altroz, Tiago are equally good car says Nexon, we will not buy it because we still have that old positioning in our mind. Now they're trying to move you away from that position. And Tata also knows that I have to introduce 3-4 models before I can change the mind. If Nexon was introduced right after Nano, people wouldn't have bought it. So you see the battle that is going on in the mind. This is typical position. So good enough. All subjects understood. Okay. So what is positioning? What is not positioning? We leave it at that. I will leave this for you. And now, welcome to the classroom. I want you all to, how do I get rid of this? End show. Yeah, I had to copy this. Okay. Where's my, okay. So now I'm going to post it on the chat. Can one of you put it in the WhatsApp group? I want you to attempt these. Yeah, who's there? One of you, Yogesh or Sami Jyoti.
I'm
putting Can it. you-
Ramesh has already done.
Prashant, can you
Yeah.
paste it on the WhatsApp
Yeah, I'll do that.
group? And I want all of you to attempt it. Can you do it?
Yeah, I'm doing that.
There are marks for this, and I want you to. I want to see how much you guys score. Do you have it now? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to pause recording because there are going to be moments of silence. I haven't recorded. Now, when I press the button. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, both of you. Thank you. Okay, right. So, so maybe they didn't get the omni-channel part of it or the answers. Okay, good. Anything that you guys want me? Error correction? Are you guys following me well? Making sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. No, one fact sheet for the whole thing. No, one fact sheet. Yes, somebody wanted to talk to me about the assignment. Anybody wants to talk about the assignment? Somebody online said thank you, and thank you for that. Yeah. Anybody are you clear on the assignment? Increase the deadline. Choose between dead and line. Okay, no. So unfortunately, I can't. I can't do that. But remember one thing: upload. I've seen so many of you people who've done very well in your presentation. Your presentation skills are brilliant. But when I go to give you marks, there's nothing for me to compare. There has to be the sheet to be uploaded. Earlier, I used to ask you to upload the entire PPT. Now I'm asking you to upload just one page. Okay, so upload and don't make that mistake. So good, go home, take care.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Sir, apart from this presentation, does it require that we need to capture one video, sir? That is really.
Yeah, video link. You give me the video link.
Okay. Understand, sir.
Give me the video link. That's good enough. Okay.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Whole presentation, you will give it to me, no? On the link. See, how will the link be? You will have the screen. Next to the screen, you will see the people. She will talk first, then he will talk. While you are talking, the PPTs will move. So I'll have a look at the PPT. The PPT is the same for all of you, no? So I just want you to upload the fact sheet. No, one fact sheet for the entire company. Uploading, please upload something. Either the fact sheet or the PPT. That's all I'm telling you. Make sure that it should say document uploaded. Otherwise, on what basis can I give you marks? I can give you marks on the basis that I saw your video. But if the exam authority says, where is the video? There's no proof for me, no. So that's what I meant. Okay. Yeah, you download one yourself. Yeah, you buy that, but I don't know how much it costs. Yeah, buy you pick that up. That'll be yeah. Older version is also okay. Yeah, anything is fine. Yeah. But pick them up. Yes. Yeah, no, the older the better. Actually, older the better. But what do you want to specialize finally? Yeah, but IT operation is not a specialization here. Is there? Okay. Marketing, yeah. In dilemma on what?
Right, so we stop recording and leave the meeting.
Too early for you to decide.
Hello.
I'll be there or get
Hello.
in touch with the team at the end of your just
Can I
don't
stop
get
recording?
carried away by the